Good afternoon. It's Saturday, March 21st, 1:41 p.m. Um, it's my kids in the background. I'm out on the balcony again. It's 63 degrees and get to 75 today. I just finished a workout in the gym. I've got the shirt I got from Italy uh, last year on our vacation. Um, the principal reason I want to do this again, I just did one yesterday, but I have had ChinoSox on my mind, and I told him I wanted to mention in one of my articles or podcasts prayers for his family and his wife. His wife, Donna, has got stage 3 breast cancer. She was recently diagnosed. I think she's gone through her first chemo treatment. And, Kai, Chino Sachs, and our group is going through a lot right now. So I just I wanted to mention last night, and I just, I didn't do it, but it's been on my mind the last week or so. So please keep him and his wife and his family in your thoughts and prayers. I mean, he already does a lot, but he's going to be carrying a bigger burden here, obviously taking care of his kids and his wife while she goes through this. So, um, again, paramount, keep that in your prayers and keep his family in your prayers and your thoughts, and his wife especially. And, hopefully, God willing, she'll get through, what they're going through right now. So, that's that. Also, I saw that today. I saw something from it was just published by Apollo's Torsten Slok, and he's the chief economist there. But he said, the markets there's going to be 4 to 6 weeks more of, in his opinion, heightened volatility. But he said the return for that, if they can see this through, is that you're going to get 50 years of a peace dividend in the Middle East there. So I thought that was, I mean, there's a lot of fear right now. I read, like everybody else, I saw Plummer MD's post. He said and Gringo said his cortisol level is really high. And that's something I've learned too late in life, that I always thought I could just, it was tougher. I could get through anything. Cortisol has a huge effect on you, and what it does to your hormones and emotions, men and women. But this environment with all the news is, that's why that last piece I wrote to just avoid the news. But reading and researching, it affects everything. So it's natural to be, heightened right now, your emotions. And Plummer MD said, hey, it was just getting too much. Gringo said his cortisol had spiked. So I think that, you have to take that in mind and in account. And just like, that one night, 2 weeks ago, I stood up all Sunday night. I was cognizant enough that, the next day or two, I was very careful about the investment decisions I made because lack of sleep is one of the worst things. It affects your motor ability, your judgment ability. And so if you're under prolonged stress, just be careful about making investment decisions. Going back to the Torsten Slok thing is, and we saw it again in the pandemic, where you had this plunge and rebound. We saw it with the tariff war, a plunge and rebound. I think the market this time was, the Nasdaq, especially large cap growth, Qs, Invesco Q Trust, it kind of peaked in October, and you were seeing a rotation. Saw a lot of breadth strengthening this year, so I think a natural rotation was happening in a good way before, the outbreak in Iran, and this has kind of injected a lot of other factors into it. Factor models are responding. The volatility is immense. One of the equities I want to bring up was Mosaic. Mosaic hasn't really participated as much as Nutrien or some of the other fertilizer companies. I saw, there's different, things going on in the global supply chain here, but Mosaic was down 19.5% last week. Part of that was with what happened with the fertilizer release in Belarus, and but it looks really interesting to me here. So, big decline like that, it you know, it's something that might be opportunity. So just keep that on your radar. But I noticed that just looking through price action, um, the S&P, SPY, SPDR, S&P 500 ETF was down 1.8% last week. It's 4 weeks in a row down. It's only down 4.6% year to date, though. So we still haven't got the panic like we had in the pandemic or during the tariff escalation in 2025. The Qs similar, we're down 2% last week, 4 weeks in a row down. They're down 5.3% year to date. So that's the Invesco QQQ Trust. The XLE, the Spider XLE sector ETF, the energy sector, it's up 2.8% last week. It's up 32.7% year to date. Natural gas was down 1.1% last week. This is a continuous contract. Guess what the year to date return for natural gas is? There's a continuous contract. I'll give you 3 seconds. One, two, three. All right, natural gas is down 16% year to date. In contrast, and this surprised me too, but West Texas Intermediate crude oil was actually down last week, 0.0617%. It's up 70.8% year to date. Brent crude oil was actually up 9.1% last week, the continuous contract. It's up 84.9% year to date. So Brent's outperformed. Probably that's, as things normalize. I mean, there's the most risk there, but that's probably where there's opportunity, that coming in more. But once the oil market, wherever it peaks and comes in, I think both West Texas Intermediate crude and Brent oil will come in. So a short update, but I just wanted to check in, thinking about those couple things, and so Kai, love you, thoughts and prayers, to your family. Um, it's unknown right now what's going to happen, the duration of the conflict, but we have to keep in mind that's unknown, right? And there's a lot of speculation that, with troops going over there and, people are now extrapolating this could be 6 months or it could last a long time. It may not be, though. So keep that in mind, and try to stay as even keeled as you can. And if you have to, like Plumber MD did, you know, go to cash. And you could always come back to things. I mean, we saw that with the precious metal equities. I knew when I saw everybody, recommending the junior miners, I knew that they were overextended. And I've been through these cycles, and I just had this feeling that there was too much hot money, and we've seen what's happened, right? So you have to always be cognizant of that. As some of the guys said in chat, though, it, there is real long-term structural damage here, and I think natural gas, is actually the prime beneficiary. So, keep that in mind as well. But there's going to be a lot of volatility, and that's going to be par for the course. Hopefully, you guys have a good Saturday. It's turned out to be a nice day here. Uh, just looking forward to enjoying it. Looking forward to basketball, the March Madness, today, and just excited it's the weekend and the markets are closed. So you can get a break, and it's hard. I mean, the futures markets open at 6. They're open at 6, in the evening to 5 p.m. the following day. And there's movement, a lot of volatility. So enjoy the quiet period here. Try to get a break if you can. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Bye.